All right, it's time to talk about the tires that I decided to get to put on this Jeep. So first of all, let's talk about the Mustang for a second. You remember back in the summertime, I shot a video on the tires that are on the Mustang because they're very inexpensive tires from a relatively unheard of brand. And fact of the matter is, I was very surprised at how well they did. You know, they had excellent traction. They were wearing really well. They balanced out perfect. They rolled smooth down the road at any speed. Just ended up being fantastic tires. I mean, those things are like $100 a piece, $400 for a whole set of tires. You just can't beat that these days. And yet they did really well. So it kind of intrigued me a little bit, I guess you could say. So when it came time to pick some tires for this Grand Cherokee, I thought, you know, it would be interesting to do a little test. Over the years, I've had all of the name brand tires on my trucks and Jeeps. You know, the Falcons, Goodyears, Yokohama, Cooper, Firestone, so on and so forth, right? All of the big name brands that we've all heard of. And, you know, these days you can easily spend $300 to $400 per tire, you know, for a all-terrain tire that's pretty typical for a Jeep or a truck, or even a mud terrain tire, right? You know, so you're talking big money for a set of tires. And I thought, you know, it would be kind of neat to buy a really inexpensive set of tires on purpose for this Jeep so that we could test them and see if these inexpensive tires can really perform the same as an expensive tire, you know? So that's what I have here. These are the Arroyo Tamarock RTs. Now, let's pause here for a second. I'm a Kentucky boy. I don't know how to pronounce a lot of things correctly. So maybe it's Tamarock. Maybe this name is supposed to be a play on words, you know? You're going to go tame the rocks when you go off-road with these tires. I don't know. But just for kicks and giggles, we're going to call it Tamarock. So this is the Arroyo Tamarock RT. This is a relatively new tire. It just came out this year, and I got these tires for $150 each. Okay, so you're looking at $600 for the whole set. That's 3 or 4 times less money than I spent on, say, those Falcons that I've got on the truck right now, or any name brand tire that you could pick. You know, I went through the listings over and over again, even checked out some of the Black Friday sales, and you're looking at $1,200 to $1,400 starting price to get into a name brand set of tires. So $650 or so delivered for 4 tires. You can't beat that with a stick. So I'm going to show you this tire up close. We're going to talk about it just a little bit, and I'll tell you about these Arroyos. And then what I really want to know is, how do they perform? You know, when I go to the tire shop, are they going to be able to balance these up really nice? Or is it going to take a lot of weight? How is the tread going to wear over time? You know, what's the traction going to be like? All those obvious questions that we have. Can a cheap, or I like to use the word inexpensive, that's the proper word for it, set of tires perform just like those $1,500 set of tires? We're going to find out. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Is this a Chinese tire? The answer is no. Arroyo is headquartered out in Pomona, California. So it is a US based company. This particular tire was manufactured in Thailand. I have no problem with that at all, because some of the best rubber products in the world come out of Thailand. A lot of your name brand tires, like Falcons, for example, have been manufactured in Thailand over the years. So I have no trouble at all with that. A product from Thailand, from a US based company, that's awesome. So initial impressions, fantastic on this tire. One of the things that's so interesting to me is that a lot of the technology that I'm seeing in this tire is stuff that I normally see in much more expensive tires. For example, you see these elements between, those bars between the tread blocks. Some of the big companies have fancy names for those. You know, some of them call them mud phobic bars or what have you. So the point of these is just to basically prevent the mud from creating a suction effect and getting stuck in the tread. They can also prevent stones from getting stuck in the tread. You see all of the tread blocks are siped all the way across the face of the tire. You've got siping. See this stepped down design on the tread blocks there? Looks like a little staircase. What that does is it stabilizes the tread blocks, and it should make the tire feel more stable out on the road. It also gives you more biting edges for better traction. You can see these bars here that are linking the tread blocks together. Again, there's a lot of technology in this tread design that I normally see on the more expensive name brand tires, so that's very impressive. The sidewall is a very aggressive looking sidewall. One thing I did not expect, but I saw right away when they delivered these, is that you have a raised white letter side, a raised white letter design on the sidewall here. Some sizes in this tire have raised red letters, which would look really cool on certain rigs, but I'm old-fashioned. I like these raised white letters. I'll probably put that side out. Now let's lay this down for a second. Here's something else that I love about this tire. It's got a bead protection flange. Look at that. That's something that we used to see on a lot of like BF Goodrich tires and some other brands that used to do this years ago, and it was a really nice feature and very functional and helpful. Prevents damage to your wheels and that kind of thing, but a lot of those companies for some reason have gone away from doing that. So I'm really pleased to see that Arroyo has included this bead protection flange on this tire. Now this particular tire is a 2-ply sidewall. If you get the mud terrain version, you do get a 3-ply sidewall, but this is an extra load rated tire, and so it does have a pretty substantial, pretty thick sidewall. If I feel of it there, give it the pinch test, I mean, you can just tell it's pretty, you know, robust, I guess would be the word. It's a fairly strong tire in terms of construction. Now this is a 265/65 18, so it's 1 inch taller than the factory size that came on the Jeep, so I should get just a little bit of ground clearance without getting too crazy with it. But you know, all in all, I'm really impressed with the looks of this tire. Look, they even included some balancing marks. If your tire shop technician happens to know what they're doing, they can use these balancing marks to align the tire on the wheel in the proper orientation to make it easier to balance. I mean, I'm just seeing a lot of stuff here that you used to or usually have to pay a lot of money to get, but looks like this Arroyo Tamarock RT tire is loaded up with tech and features for 2 or 3 times less money. That's awesome. Now the obvious questions are, how is this tire going to balance out? What's the tread life going to be like? What's the traction going to be like? You know, this winter, I mean, it's already freezing cold out here today. When it starts snowing really bad, are these going to do well? You know, when spring comes and we start hitting the trails, are these going to do well? You know, those kinds of questions are the things we really want to know about a tire that's priced this aggressively. And we're going to find the answers, but obviously it's going to take a little time. So bear with me, stick around on the channel. You know, as the weeks and months roll on, we will update you on these tires. And what I really want to know is, can a tire like this, that's so inexpensive, work just as well as a really expensive tire? The ones that we're so accustomed to. That's what we're going to find out. But first, obviously, got to go to the tire shop and get them put on, so let's do that now. All loaded up, ready to head to the tire shop. Man, it's freezing out here today, but man, the more I look at these, the more I like them. I mean, this is obviously what you would call a hybrid tire, or these RT, you know, rugged terrain tires that kind of bridge that gap between a mud terrain and an all-terrain. I really like this category of tire because you can see how big these voids are out here. You know, like I talked about in the KO3 video, you know, you want to be able to have the snow, the slush, the rainwater, whatever it is you're driving over, you want to be able to have it evacuate the tire very quickly. It needs a path to get out of the tread, you know, and you can see here on this Arroyo tire that you've got a path all the way across the tire, you know, so I can imagine that this thing is going to stick to the road pretty well in foul weather. The voids are big enough to handle off-road use. They're big enough to handle bad weather, but they're not so spaced out that it's going to be a really rough riding tire. I'm interested to see how this does and how the road noise is on this. Can't wait. Stick around. It's going to be awesome. All right, just left the tire shop. Got the Arroyo Tamarock RTs mounted up and balanced. Got an alignment done. It was definitely a little bit out of alignment. I could tell it was because of that front tire that was wearing so poorly. But let's head down the road and see if we can detect any road noise here. So there's about 45 miles an hour. Don't know if you can hear it on the camera or not, but there's definitely a little bit of a hum, a little bit. So I expected that there would be a little bit of a hum, and there is, but it's not bad. It's really not bad. So as far as road noise goes, we'll just keep an eye on the road noise as time wears on. You know, like I always say, after you do a couple of cross rotations on your tires, you will generally get a little bit more noise out of them, you know, in the future. So if you start off with a really quiet tire, it may not be quiet 10,000, 20,000 miles down the road. But I will say the road noise is there. It's just not bad. It's just a light, low frequency kind of a hum, you know, like you would expect from an aggressive tire. So I'm at 50 miles an hour. They're rolling really smooth, no vibration, no oscillation, no, you know, weirdness in the steering or anything. The Jeep feels like it's handling great. I can tell that the sidewalls are a little bit firmer, a little more firm because it's an extra load rated tire, which is, you know, what I wanted. So even though the tire itself was relatively lightweight, it's got those firm, you know, sidewalls like you would expect on an off-road tire. So you can tell that it's a little more firm as far as the ride goes, but it's, again, it's still not bad at all. Still feels really good. May actually be better for handling, to be honest. So yeah, so far so good. All right, one more clip here. I'm going 55 miles an hour now, and I just checked the GPS a moment ago, and I am 1 mile per hour off now. I checked the GPS with the stock tire size on, and it was reading about 1 mile an hour fast. The speedometer is, or was, that is. Now it's reading about 1 mile per hour slow. So, you know, there's an overall change of about 2 miles an hour, but I was already 1 too fast, so now I'm 1 too slow. Not a big change, really. The speedometer and the odometer are still gonna be well within spec. So I don't have to hook up my taser device and make any changes to the speedometer or anything like that. These 265, 65 18s are gonna work out perfect as far as that goes. Still got a little bit of a hum at 55. Honestly, I like it. I like having just a little bit of road noise. It feels like you're in a Jeep. You know what I mean? I like it. So there you have it, the Arroyo Tamarock RT, brand new tire out on the market now, and I love them. I think it makes it look like a Jeep. Nice aggressive tread, relatively quiet on the road. Like I said, not much road noise. Very, very smooth heading down the road at any speed, even at highway speed. These things don't have any vibration in them at all. They balanced out great. And I'm pretty picky about that kind of thing, you know. My OCD kicks in if I have vibration in my Jeep or my truck. So I'm really happy with them. They look great. So far, they're working great. Now, time will tell. How's the traction going to be? How's the tread life going to be? Just like I was saying, it's going to take a little time to figure that out. But stick with me, and we'll talk about that later. Thanks for watching, guys. If you got any questions, drop them below. We will see you later.